Welcome everyone to our webinar that we've titled Unlocking Engineering Excellence, where we're going to talk to you about how to best foster growth and innovation for your team. But before we do that, we're going to introduce ourselves. My name is Rachel Brennan. I am the customer success expert for MLC CAD Systems. I am a brand new resident of Anchorage, Alaska. So my husband up there in the right-hand corner is a very cool F-22 pilot. So we just moved up here. I'm a wine connoisseur. I worked in the wine industry before I worked for MLC CAD, so I know quite a bit about that. And I'm also a big fan of the farmers market, so that's where you will find me every Saturday when I'm not getting blocked from going outside by the moose that you see hanging out in my yard on a regular basis. I am going to go ahead and pass it over to my colleague Michael Burks to introduce himself, and then we'll get started.
Thanks, Rachel. So my name is Michael Burks. I'm the Professional Services Manager here at MLC CAD Systems. I am a degreed mechanical engineer, which means I like to tinker, I like to play with things, I like to take things apart. That's just kind of what we do as engineers. Me personally, I'm an avid golfer. You can find me on a golf course most any weekend. Even during COVID, I purchased a golf simulator, so any given day of the week, you can probably find me hitting a golf ball somewhere. I'm also a Disney fan, so my family and I spend a lot of time in Orlando, Florida at Walt Disney World. We've built a lot of family memories there, and it's a place that we as a family like to visit quite often. My wife and I do like to travel. We've been to many places, both in the U.S. and abroad. We have a lot more on our bucket list, but we hope to get to a lot of those over the next few decades together. Enough about me. Let's talk about why we're here today. We're going to talk about engineering life. We're going to talk about what you guys experience every day. We're also going to talk about what MLC has experienced over the last decade. So we've spent some time talking to you and about your engineering life, and I want to share with you kind of what you guys have told us and see if there's a solution that we have to help with some of your troubles. One thing we're going to introduce is Solid Professor. So MLC CAD Systems has now partnered with Solid Professor. And so that is now part of our success plans. And so I'll go into detail and talk about those success plans and what is included with those. And then at the very end, we'll save a little bit of time for some question and answers. So if you guys have some specific questions around the success plans or around what our offering entails, feel free to let us know. A day in the life. If you're an engineering manager, or if you're an engineering team lead or you're a supervisor, you know that managing a team of engineers can from time to time be difficult. Not necessarily because of personalities, but just because of skill sets. Everyone has a different set of skills. Let's take SolidWorks for instance. If you've got a group of designers and they're all using SolidWorks, you may have one guy or one girl who's very good at using SolidWorks for large assemblies. Then you may have somebody else who's really good at advanced part design, but maybe they're not good at the other. And then maybe you have a person who's really good with simulation. They don't know how to use CAD at all. So you have different skill sets that you have to manage on a daily basis. You also have to manage that team efficiency because you need everybody to have at least a minimum skill set to make sure that they can get their job done efficiently. Then we have change. Now, I'm not talking about design changes. I'm not talking about changing from revision A to revision B. I'm talking about the change you experience inside of your engineering department. That might be hiring a new employee. That might be somebody who has quit and has moved on to another job. It might be an older engineer who had a lot of skills, but they've now retired. So there's a lot of change that happens inside of your organization to your team. And then lastly, continued development. How do you encourage your engineers to keep striving to do something better than they did before? So all those are challenges that you guys have mentioned to us over the last few years that we've looked at, right? How can we make you guys better at what you do? So we came up with a success plan. So that success plan includes several things, but it starts with education. It starts with your team. It starts getting a minimum set of skills that everybody is capable of using. So these skills may be just simple sketching inside of SolidWorks to maybe even advanced design of some kind. So how are we going to do that? Well, we now have an online self-paced micro-learning platform that you can leverage as an MLC customer. So we've partnered with Solid Professor in order to do that. So you may say, well, Michael, online and self-paced makes sense. What is micro-learning? Well, micro-learning is really a concept that allows us to take a really large topic and really break it down into really small bite-sized pieces. So a 30-minute tutorial is just a bunch of maybe 2 or 3 minute tutorials that are built into one, giving you the ability to quickly and easily find the resource, find the information you're looking for very quickly, and gain that knowledge. Now, beyond that, there's in-person training. It doesn't stop at the online self-paced training, because we understand at times you've got to talk to somebody. You've got to get those tips and tricks. You've got to get the experience from someone who's been doing it for a really long time. That's where our in-person training comes in. So that in-person training allows you to sit down in person or online with one of our instructors. They will walk you through tutorials and exercises, and you'll have the ability to ask them questions and get feedback. Then lastly, we'll offer help when you need it. So we've got several ways that you can get help from us. A lot of you are probably familiar with our support, but we now have different offerings to get you access to the right people at the right time. So I'm going to turn it over to Rachel. She's going to go through and explain to us really what Solid Professor is and how it works. And then once she's done, I'll pick back up and wind us out with what else is included in our success plan that you can take advantage of. So with that, I'll turn it over to Rachel.
Thanks, Michael. So where I'd like to start with this platform is in the course library. There's a lot more than just SOLIDWORKS lessons on this platform. There's about 860 hours worth of SOLIDWORKS content, but there's also content on other 2D and 3D CAD platforms. There's some CAM in here. There are background and theory lessons on GD&T. There are even a couple on FEA that are pretty popular. But I like to show everybody the full library just because you have access to all of this with Solid Professor, not just the SOLIDWORKS lessons. So even for platforms that you don't have yet, if you'd like to just learn more about them, you can jump in and take the beginner course at any time. I'm going to click into the SOLIDWORKS library here so I can show you in a little more detail what these courses look like. So when I get into the SOLIDWORKS library, it's going to go from beginner into more advanced courses. I'm going to jump into part design. And once you get into a course, you'll have the option to pick your version from the versions listed here. And this is nice because I can take it in a version that looks just like mine and has the commands in the same place. There's also an opportunity to download the course files so that you can work alongside the instructor on the same part. And all of the courses are done in what they call the micro-learning format. So although this is about a 4-hour-long course, each individual lesson is max 5-7 minutes, most of the time much shorter than that. So it makes it really easy to kind of fit a lesson in here or there as you have time, and you don't have to sit through all 4 hours at once or try to remember your place. This platform is also easily searchable using the search bar up at the top, and you can use this a couple different ways. So if I'm running into a problem with the SOLIDWORKS platform, I can type in a couple keywords on my issue. So I'm going to use May errors for my example. And it'll bring up lessons that reference that issue. And what I like about this over going to something like YouTube is it's in your version. So it looks like yours, your commands are in the same place. And the other thing I really appreciate about Solid Professor is that they do a great job of explaining why these error types happen so that you can actually prevent them from happening next time instead of just kind of putting the Band-Aid on it every time. The other way that we can use this is by subject matter. So if I wanted to see lessons on simulation, I could pull that up. I can filter the results by the software that I'm looking for, by my version, and then by whether I want an entire course or just an individual lesson on that topic. With 860 hours of SOLIDWORKS content on this platform, it can be a little bit overwhelming to find where to start, and I have a couple of recommendations for that. The first would be the learning paths. So if you are not yet CSWA or CSWP certified, or if your team isn't, I highly recommend taking advantage of these certification exam vouchers that you get with your SOLIDWORKS subscription. And learning paths are going to make it easier than ever to study for those exams. So if you go to See Paths, you'll see that there's one for the CSWA, one for the CSWP, couple other extra ones in here on GD&T and simulations, but I'm going to open up the CSWA path to show you what they look like. So the paths are going to have the course content that covers all of the material that's going to be on that exam. So for the CSWA, it's an intro and a couple essentials courses. And then the most important courses in any of these learning paths are going to be the prep courses. So they have people at Solid Professor that go and take these exams every year. And then they come back and tell you the types of questions that you're going to be asked, how the exam is going to be structured. They give you tips for the timing, and they even go into how to download and navigate the SOLIDWORKS testing software. It gives you everything you need to be very comfortable with the way the exam is going to go come test day. Once you have completed this learning path, you're ready to take and pass that exam, and you're going to do very well. The other way I recommend getting started with this platform is taking the Skills Analyzer. So to get there, we're going to come back to your dashboard and click Take the Skills Assessment Test. When you do that, you're going to come to this page where you can either just take the test yourself, or the option we're going to talk about today, since this is geared towards engineering management, is the Test My Team option. So when we click Test My Team, you're going to have a choice between 3 levels of the exam: the basic, the advanced, and the expert level. If you've had SOLIDWORKS users that have been using the platform for at least a year, I would probably send them the advanced, if not the expert level test, because you want it to be difficult to give you good feedback. So if I'm going to select the advanced test, it would prompt me to enter my information. And then it's going to send me 2 emails. The first one is a custom web link to the exam that I selected. The second is a link to a results dashboard where I can view the results of anyone that took the test using my custom web link. That results dashboard is going to look something like this. So I've got the number of responses I've received, the average score, and then the average results by subject matter and section. If I scroll down a little bit, I can see the name of the participants that took the exam. I sent this exam to my friend Cody, and I can see his score as well as how long it took him to take this exam. So it only took him 10 minutes. If I click View His Results, I can see the percentage he got correct by section, and then I can also see every answer, correct and incorrect, that he had on his test. The most important part, I think, is this section here, the recommended tutorials. So based on what you missed on the exam, you'll get recommended lessons, and the person that took the exam will also get very similar looking results. And they can click these lessons and go straight to the lessons that are going to be most relevant to them. As management, this test can be useful in 2 different ways. So first, you could send the test out to your existing team and get a baseline feel for where everybody is with SOLIDWORKS and assess maybe who needs to have access to this platform first and who has gaps and where in their knowledge. The other way that you could use this is for hiring. So when I send out that custom web link, the person that takes the exam does not need to have access to Solid Professor, so they don't need to occupy one of your logins. And they also don't need to have SOLIDWORKS downloaded on their device because it's just a multiple choice exam. So that means I could send it out to potential candidates that I'm thinking about hiring and vet them and get a feel for where they really are functionally with SOLIDWORKS beyond what they've put on their resume. Coming back to your dashboard one last time, there are a couple things that are specific to management that I like to point out. And the first one is groups. So when you create a group, it's kind of like creating your own custom learning path. So you create a lesson plan that you can then assign your users to. So the ways that you can organize this are infinite. You can have a group for new hires, a group for your simulation users, a group for your AutoCAD users, and then you can monitor their progress using the reporting tab. So the reporting tab is going to give you the stats for your organization, the number of lessons that have been viewed, the number of tests that have been taken, the top learners, and then the top content that they're viewing. We do have the ability to build out custom reports. So if there is something you'd like to report on that you don't see here, you would just have to reach out to me and we could work on that together. You can also view the reports by group. So I can look at who I've assigned to that group, their progress through the lessons I've assigned them to, and then their progress through each individual course in that lesson plan. I go into a lot more detail on all of these features of the platform in our onboardings, but for now I just want you to have an idea of all of the functionality that this platform has to offer. So what does this mean for managers? Well, your staff has access to an on-demand training resource, which means they can become more independent faster. Learning paths are going to make it easier than ever to obtain SOLIDWORKS certifications like the CSWA or CSWP and get those certifications under your belts. You can monitor and report on your staff's progress using the reporting tab. You have groups where you can create custom lesson plans and assign your users to them. And then you've also got the skills analyzer where you can assess the proficiency level of your existing team and even vet candidates during the hiring process. When you sign up for a success plan with MLC CAD systems, you also get me as a resource. My goal is to make this platform as easy as possible for you all to use, so I am here beyond your onboarding to assist you with creating groups, managing your user base, or anything else you might need. With that, I'm going to pass the reins back over to Michael Burks to talk more about the additional features of your success plan.
Thanks, Rachel. So I want to finish this up here explaining what else is included in your customer success plan. So Rachel went over in detail Solid Professor, but that's not all that you get as part of your success plan. You also get a credit to attend some of our training. You get a $500 training credit for any of our in-person training classes. So that could be an in-person training in one of our offices. That could be an in-person training in one of our online training classes. Either way, you get a $500 discount to attend one of those training classes. Also, we understand that it can be difficult sometimes to transition from a training class into a production environment, meaning taking those skills that you learned in training and applying them to what you do every day. So we're also offering a 2-hour Ask an Expert session. So when you get back to the office and you just can't figure something out, well, you can reach out to one of our application experts and you can get their advice, you can get their feedback on what they would do or how they would approach a specific topic inside of SOLIDWORKS or one of the products that we sell. Lastly, we also offer professional services. Some of you already know this may be new for you guys, but we offer professional services as an organization. You also, as part of your success plan, will get 20% off of those in-house professional services, meaning that PDM upgrade or that SOLIDWORKS upgrade you've been trying to do for the last 2 years, but you were scared because of the downtime it might cause. You can reach out to us, let us do it, and you'll get 20% off. This will help you minimize any downtime. It'll help you minimize any type of work interruption that you may experience. We'll go through a plan with you, we'll write a scope, and we'll provide you with a quote with the included discounts. So let us know however we can help. These success plans were meant for you. This is based on information that we've collected from our customers over the last several years. Right? What can we do to get better at what we do every day? Well, we've tried our best to hopefully make it easier for you to do that. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and stop and we'll turn it over for questions and answers. So if you guys have questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat down at the bottom or in the questions and answers panel, and Rachel or I will be happy to answer those questions for you. We'll be around for about the next 10 or 15 minutes or so, so please let us know if you have any questions. Thanks, and have a great day.